Welcome to this series on DAC VR Deals. VR deals are multifaceted. They are a way to control pricing, rebating, bill backs. There's product movement tracking. There are a lot of things under the covers here to look at. So let's jump over to a screen and see what we have available to look at. First of all, to arrive at the VR deal primary menu, what you'll do is take option 5, then option 10. You arrive at this branching point. Now, all of these pieces here are involved in that process. We're going to mainly cover option number 1 here, which is another menu, but there's also a relationship between some of these other things. So let's take option 1. So from that menu, let's just in a brief thumbnail for each, this is where you will set up a deal. This is about enrollment, the customers that are actually enrolled to participate in a deal. Um, a screen that allows you to look at tracking as it's ongoing, a place to print some setup information if you want to print the information on how it's set up, a deal tracking report, which is an older flavor of that. Option 6, when we look at that, that's a deal activity recap. That is a primary place. The search deals for an item is primarily used as a diagnostic tool when you have the same item in multiple deals and just to understand what the relationship is. A way to compare one deal to another and also salesman recap. So let's jump down here and take the first option. The primary goal for this session, this particular part of the session, is to look at the actual construction of a deal. So as a way to navigate under option number 1, every deal is set up underneath a vendor. However, the items don't have to necessarily be from that vendor as the supplier or the manufacturer. You can mix and match things in there. A deal number gets assigned. There's a deal type. And so to remember what the deal types are, we're going to spend probably the lion's share of this little session just talking about deal types to give an overview before we do the next video in this series. If I press F4 while I'm here on deal type, it will bring up what my choices are. And so there's a lot of choices in here, and this is where people need to understand what's available and how each piece functions. So going through the list, a B-type deal is a cents-off. Basically, it's a cents-off allowance. It can come off the customer's ordinary price, their regular everyday price. It can affect the cost as well, as you will see when we set up an example. You have a fixed price, which basically says this is the price, and it will override everything, contract pricing, things of that nature. If it encounters this, the customer's enrolled, the item qualifies for the date range, this price will supersede everything. You also have a way to track, not as an OI, but to track for possible rebating. Rebates built off of the net cost. There's another rebate type of R. There are ways to track things that are not on the selling side, but from the purchasing side. So a P type is a total off PO discount, and we will work through some of these examples as the series unfolds. You have a percent type, which is an off invoice percentage of the customer's regular price. So this would be a percentage. So we would go through the routine, calculate their contract pricing, whatever types of things are in play, and then we would give a percentage discount off of that result. Another type is a T type. These two here, T and S, have to do with things coming out of the pre-book order system. They're specific to that and dial straight into that area. A 1 type is a price-based rebate. So the customer's ordinary price is calculated and then a rebate is calculated from that, which is tracked, doesn't come off invoice, it is tracked for later use. 2 more types of purchasing related. A type 2 is a purchase order item allowance. So this would be at the item level where you're taking a deduction, dollar-based or percentage-based, on particular items from a supplier, or the complementary thing to that would be, or the alternative to that would be where you're just tracking rebates, not taking it off the value of the PO itself, but tracking for possible bill back later on. You can also do manufacturer list. plus a retailer percentage. So it takes the manufacturer cost, list cost in the system, and applies a retailer percentage on top of that. That is a relatively newer type. You also have a D type, which is a net percentage off invoice. So this does come off invoice based off of the net cost of the item, and the companion to that would be, or an alternative would be a C type. So those are the basic types. There's a lot of types in there, and understanding what each of those types do is a key piece of this puzzle. So we're going to press F3 and go out of here. So there are ways to navigate through the screen. The deal type would, in the next session in this series, we will actually set up something from scratch and go through the different things. But to navigate through here, you can see you can look for things that begin on a particular day or end on a certain day. You can search by deal description, different ways to navigate through. So that's going to be it to cover this particular session. We will resume on the next session in this series where we actually get down and create a deal and sort of talk about some of the individual details that you'll encounter. Thanks.